Welcome to Telloyouth, the rejuvenation company. If you are looking for a tool to change your life or to change the lives around you, you are in the right place. Our technology combined with our doctor's education will rebuild, rebalance, and rejuvenate your life. Start with an expectation that you will get 10 years younger in the next 6 months. It's just a matter of time. Our hosts are Doctors Tina Johnson and Chris Morris. They are internationally renowned educators, naturopathic practitioners, and the formulators of our life-changing products.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Friday. Today is our Testimonial Friday. We're pretty excited. We have a live testimonial today. Good morning, Dr. Chris. Welcome.
Good morning, Dr. Tina, and good morning, everyone out there. So glad you could join us today. And yes, it's a special Friday because we not only have a testimonial, but we have it live, so we can really get and drill down deep into what the Telloyouth and Telomega have done for this individual. So let's get started, Dr. Tina. So glad you could join us today, Amy.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be alive and tell my story.
Right?
Yeah, about survival these days, right?
Right.
We're going to talk today about a structural trauma, and so much happens on the body from inside out, but to see the dramatic results externally is what's so profound, and to have other healthcare professionals is comment on how the body has responded. So, you mind sharing your age, Amy?
Oh, yeah. I'm 62.
Okay.
I'm a very active person, athlete, mountain biker. I walk 2 large, very fast dogs every day and had been walking another really big neighbor's dog before this event.
Let's go ahead and play your video and then you can make comments. How's that?
Okay.
Thank you for being here to hear my Telloyouth story. I had a terrible fall in 2022 and I landed on my elbow and I knew my arm was messed up. Went to urgent care. There was a lot of sort of swelling and bleeding in there. And I also did a partial tear of my hamstring from top to bottom. I had trouble walking. I was limping for a long time. It was quite a project. I immediately upped my Telloyouth from 8 per day to 24. I was also starting a new job, and that was giving me the opportunity to drive 45 minutes twice a day. And there was a lot of stress, just physical stress from healing like that, and new job anyway. 7 weeks later, my physical therapist said, there's like a weird noise in there, like crunchy. Do you want to go see a shoulder specialist just because? And I said, sure. So we got an MRI. And in fact, there were 2 breaks. There was a break across the humerus. And then the very top of the humerus was in 3 pieces and mending together spontaneously. So I had like a puzzle piece project going on at the top of my humerus, and it was already mending. The shoulder specialist said he had never seen that kind of spontaneous healing on breaks like that, and that we didn't need to do anything to it, and that all I needed to do was wait for the bones to fully mend and work on my range of motion with my shoulder. And that's where I am. So I'm so grateful to Telloyouth, and also to my family who all got kicked off of Telloyouth while I stole their stash. It is great to be alive.
All right. Dr.
Great.
Chris.
Well,
Hey,
yeah,
yes. Amy, what a
Yeah.
great story.
Well, there's, you know what happens when you get injured? There's often a lot of emotional charge connected to whatever happened. And, you know, it wasn't like I made a mistake and tripped and fell. It was this beloved neighbor dog who I've been walking for 3 years, was just overwhelmed with joy that we were getting back together because we had been separated due to a virus that had been going around. And he is 120 pounds, and we got into the yard to do our regular runaround. And he came flying around the house at absolute top speed, 120 pounds, and just tackled me like a linebacker, just right for my chest, knocked me over sideways onto my elbow. And the planted right leg is the one that had the injured hamstring. From top to bottom, my hamstring just bled, like all the way down the back of my leg. Like I couldn't even sit for about 8 weeks. And then this arm, I landed on it. I went to urgent care the next day. They took films. There was no sign of a fracture, but there was a lot of swelling and bleeding as well. So I just like kept it quiet. I had, I rested a lot. I could only sleep on my back. I had my left shoulder kind of propped up so I could get myself laying down and stabilize the arm. And then that's how I would go. And I would take my 8 Telloyu 3 different times a day. Some days I would take 4 at 6 times a day. And every time I would take it, everything felt better. And not to mention just being distraught by being so injured, it just really, really helped me be like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to heal. And what we didn't know until many weeks later was that my arm was fractured in a couple of places. And just my know-how, I come from a physical medicine background. So like I know how to test my rotator cuff. I know how to, I know what's going on with frozen shoulders and stuff. I just had no idea that it was broken. And that's because I was going along so well, I think. And when the physical therapist was working my range of motion and we'd hear crunching, I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem right. And in fact, the head of the humerus was in 3 chunky puzzle pieces and was mending. It really didn't hurt. It really didn't give me a lot of problems, even though I had the opportunity to do that 45-minute drive twice a day. So here I'm driving a car with a left arm that's broken, didn't know it. Like that is how well Telloyu supported me. So when the surgeon said, we're not going to give you cortisone, we're not going to set the arm, we're not going to do surgery, we're not going to, treat your frozen shoulder except for you continuing to do your range of motion work, he just shook his head. He just said, I don't even know how this is possible, but I'm glad it is. And so just keep doing what you're doing, which is keep supporting doing your exercises. Let's check it back in 8 weeks. I'm kind of old. So bones don't heal as well at age 62 as they do when you're really, really young. But it was already well on its way by the 7th week when I did get that MRI. So there's no emotional charge of someone's at fault. That was good. I didn't have any of that. And I'm not walking that dog any longer. He is just too big and he's reactive and he's not trained. And, you can't do things for your neighbor's dog that they don't want you to do. So that's good. I miss him, but I have my own big dog who pulls a lot. So I have a reason to stay fit and well. And my hamstring is much, much better. It was like a little bit concerning how far the bruise sort of dripped down the back of my leg all the way into my calf. That's what happened, is that secondary bleeding. And just Telloyuth I would take it and it would clean it up. And then I would do more healing and I would take the Telloyuth and it would ease back the discomfort, whatever I would feel. When I would be about an hour into another Telloyuth dose, I would just feel it would be easier. It was just better. So I thought you might be able to explain why this was possible, because it's a mystery to me. I just trust and know that it works.
Great. Well, thank you, Amy. Dr. Chris, do you want to go ahead?
Sure, just a couple of comments and questions. So first, Amy, so the trauma of the incident and the going to the emergency at that time, they didn't pick up the break in their x-rays, right?
No, and they also didn't use a really smart view. So the x-ray technician didn't get the right view to pick up the
Right.
fractures.
Okay,
And it was
because
so swollen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The swelling wouldn't be the issue. I guess it's just they didn't point the x-ray in the right direction to pick it up. And that's interesting because, I mean, it helps tell of the story how miraculous things were able to respond, but also it didn't give you the insight to be more careful with the break. So a couple things here. Obviously your age, when we're young, it's pretty much we can handle any type of extreme trauma, and we have the reserves in our body. And it's just an attribute to you that you were able to heal at your age, because typically between age 1 and 50 or 60, you pretty much have to get hit by a bus to really go downhill or be terminal. And the fact that after especially age 60, we decline rapidly, and so the ability to heal and repair is compromised in a big way. And the reason for that is that we've lost our reserves in our body, meaning the reserves of how the body responds with the immune system, with the endocrine system, with the mitochondrial function to make the energy to do these things. And this is what we mean by signal molecules. The signal molecules in our older ages just aren't there. They're not there. We don't have the reserves. And when you don't have the reserves, you lose that ability to heal. And Amy, another thing about conventional medicine is that, and for everyone to understand, is that they're treating the symptom, or they're trying to get you back to baseline, meaning, where you were at the time of the injury or trauma or disease. And what we're doing with this signal molecule communication and the regeneration of your receptor sites is that we're helping the body to reestablish its reserves, to bring back the resilience that it needs to handle the stress and trauma. And your story is significant because you not only had a trauma that was misdiagnosed, but also you had a new job. You had a situation where you had additional stressors. And so it even was a greater challenge for your body to heal and repair. So I wanted to bring that up, Dr. Tina, about how much our formulas have the ability to turn back the clock and build back the reserves. Anything you want to share there?
Yes. So Amy, yes, that new job, 45 minutes one way in a vehicle, an hour
Yeah.
and a half a day
Yeah,
driving. Plus your hamstring is torn, right? It's
right.
hurting. How do you sit in a vehicle that way? So you're putting that additional stress on. One of the things I want to ask you is, how many capsules were you taking, and did you change the amounts? And were you taking both Telomega with Telloyuth?
Yes. So I had been on 8 per day for a while. It's been a couple of years, and as soon as this happened, I I tripled the amount to 24, and I was taking 8 at a time, 3 times a day. And if I had the mental and emotional reserve, I would split it into 6 doses and pulse it through the day. And I have remained on either 16 or 24 as often as possible. And as I said, I kicked my family off. So we have the 2 elder dogs are on Tello유th. I've got my 91-year-old father who goes to work 5 days a week and runs the front end of the health club. He's on Tello유th. I kicked him off. And my husband, he just yields his supply. And then we got a bunch more in the house, but they were pretty nice to me. And now I realize we're functioning really young for a bunch of old people and dogs in this house. So that's exciting. And I am taking Telomega. And so I take 2 and 2, too early, too late. And that seems to really be helping. My husband just got on board because his doctor said he was 1 point above the cholesterol red flag line. So instead of doing a medicine, he committed to doing 3 months of Tello유th and retesting. So that's what we're using here.
Oh, fantastic. That'll be great to see, how he changes in 3 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it would be important for him to
Question.
take Telomega as well, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Telomega 4 a day. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Question I have for you too is there was discoloration from the hamstring tear, and also obviously the trauma to the shoulder. So did you see how fast did that turn around as far as the discoloration and to show the healing process?
Yes. So I would say my shoulder started, the bruise started to appear like the next day as a really, long, slow, like a stain of dark purple on the interior of my arm, the midline, below the armpit. And it was about 2 weeks till all of that was clear. I wasn't doing any manual therapy to help with that. I was just really trying to keep my arm quiet. So it was about 2 weeks. The leg, it took longer, and it may be because I was just sitting on that hamstring for so much time. I was sitting on ice packs, by the way, so the car time was good for icing. But it cleared up, I would say, in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The shoulder.
Yeah, because I know from as from an athletic world, hamstrings they can be chronic, so they just don't heal overnight, and oftentimes they stay with you for years, if not decades. Dr. Tina, you're aware of that as well. You've had a hamstring trauma that kind of nagged you, right?
Yep. Competing at the age of 17. Yeah, a hamstring pull. And, it was interesting because when I started to take, the fertilized tissue extract, it was really strange. You start to feel these weird cramping, aching sensations. And then you just want it, like I wanted it to be massaged really deeply. And it was the circulation coming back in that I didn't know. I really didn't know it was happening back then. So then as time moved forward and we were working with this ingredient, we're realizing, that, it's repairing, there's range of motion again. I can do things that I wasn't able to do for a long period of time. So it doesn't matter what age you're at, you can, get out of this middle picture here, this accelerated aging, bring in, all of the signal molecules, restore your receptors, and get yourself out of this stress defense mode on the left-hand side. And, you can bring in, and this is like what Amy was talking about, taking 24 a day means she was just bringing in a lot of construction workers and a lot of the aloe vera gel concentrate to rebuild those receptors and to start getting the body to clean itself out if there was anything that needed to clean out more rapidly than going at a slower pace. So just stay in tune with your body and see what works well for you, and then increase it or decrease it as needed. How was your sleep, Amy? Were you able to sleep well?
I did sleep really well, and that baffled the physical therapist. But I had just taken 8 Tello유th, usually at bedtime, and I found just the best position to be in that didn't bother anything. And I would I would just stay in that position, and I lucked out. I really did luck out because I got great sleep.
Oh, good, because that is so key and so important. That helps us to know that you are moving into that deep rejuvenation state.
Yeah, but I was bolstered. I had pillows behind my shoulders, and I had pillows under my knees, and I was like the princess and the pea. I had to have my perfect spot, and that worked great because it was
Good.
exhausting. It really was.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for this technology.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. Dr. Chris, if you don't have anything else, we can certainly open it up. Or Amy, do you have anything else? you want to mention? Go
I
ahead.
have one last comment, and it's somewhat of a blessing that you were misdiagnosed for us to tell the story, your story, from the standpoint of 7 weeks later for the doctor to reevaluate your trauma, to say that the healing was remarkable. And what that means is that you were able to support the body in finding all the building materials it needed, because the body's going to heal the best it can. And when you don't have those reserves that are available for the repair, it only can repair as much as made available. And then that's where retracing happens. When people take Tello유th after a trauma that's, more than a year or 5 years, 10 years old, the Tello유th will go back and find where the healing was only partial, and then it'll take care of it to the full extent that it can. And Amy, you were able to do that right from the get-go by having the wherewithal to know that up your Tello유th from 8 to 24, because your body needed that extra boost to heal properly, and therefore there's little chance that you'll have any retracing with this, because you're healing it properly with the first opportunity that you had from the trauma. So that's
Yes.
pretty much all I wanted to share. Yeah. And Amy, any questions that you have for us?
Well, I think it's remarkable that Tello유th helped me with the reserves I did have. I know that vitamin D is important for bone health, and I'm always I must have an absorbency issue, because I take a lot because I need a lot to keep my levels appropriate. And my levels were not high, they weren't clinically low, but I was able to use what I have to mend. And that is a pretty big testament to Tello유th, being able to utilize the reserves that exist to be the construction workers and the materials on site to help with the mending. And that's really cool.
Right. And vitamin D, you live, up here in the Northern Hemisphere, and we do not get access year round to sunshine. And that is our best and greatest source for natural vitamin D. So most of us that live up here, even though we're taking, or should be taking probably 15 to 20,000 IUs a day, at least I do, especially in the winter, because we do not get the opportunity, like Dr. Chris over in Reno or Sarah in LA, to get that sunshine almost year round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep doing great. And we can't wait to hear how your husband does on his 3-month trial here.
Yes.